Good morning, and welcome to another inspiring episode of the Good Morning Minute podcast, where we start the day with purpose, passion, and a little bit of power. I'm your host, Angelina Mojica, and today's conversation is part of our special series in partnership with the Empower Her Steps virtual conference, a movement rooted in helping women rise, heal, and walk boldly into the life God has designed for them. Our mission is simple but powerful, empowering life purpose, because we believe when a woman finds clarity in her calling, everything changes for her family, her community, and generations to come. So, friends, grab your coffee, take a deep breath, and get ready to be uplifted as we dive into real stories, honest lessons, and bold steps towards purpose with our guest today. And our guest is Leanne. Leanne, welcome to Good Morning Minute.
Thank you so much, Angelina. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Well, we're happy to have you. I can't wait to get to know you a bit more through our conversation. Before we jump into that, I'd like to just allow some space for you to kind of share a little bit about yourself with our listeners.
Wonderful. Thank you. So I'm an actor and a speaker with over 30 years on stage, film, and TV. I'm a new author and I'm a spiritual medium. So lots of different things, but they combine beautifully together, surprisingly.
Yes, a lot of creativity is what I'm hearing in those different elements of your life. So I love that. So Leanne, I do like to start off with a little icebreaker and a fun little question just to kind of get us rolling. My question is, are you more of a sunrise or sunset person?
That is such a great question. Had you asked me a couple of years ago, it might have been a different answer. I'm 100% a sunrise. I love the sunset, but I love the energy that the sunrise gives you. I love the energy that it sets the tone for the day, and you're getting all of those light codes into you, and it sets your circadian rhythm. So I'm quite passionate about a sunrise now, but there is something very magical about a sunset.
Something about a new day, right? I love it. So, all right. Well, Leanne, let's go ahead and jump into the heart of our conversation. And I'm going to ask you, what was a defining moment of pain or challenge in your life, and how did it impact you?
So I think at the end of my marriage, I was sort of in a lull for a little while, sort of in survival mode. And then I came across this really amazing book by nurse Bronnie Ware. She's an Australian palliative care nurse. It's called The Top Five Regrets of the Dying. And the first was, I wish I had the courage to live a life true to myself and not the life others expected of me. And being a medium, I'm comfortable with sort of end of life reflections, but I was like, wow, that hit me hard. I don't want to be somebody who gets to the end of my life and has regret. I want to live with fulfillment and joy and look back on it and feel like I've left a legacy. What are my kids going to think about my life when they're there saying something about me? She was a great mom, and I am, and that's all of me. But there's more. And so that was a real turning point for me. It sort of made me reevaluate and think, what are all these things that are part of me that I have wanted to do, that have been calling me for so long? And maybe it's time to step up, because Angelina, I believe it's better to have tried and failed than never to have tried at all. It's much better to look back and go, you know what, I gave it a go, and so I can be content with that. So that was a big piece of information that came in that really impacted me.
Mm. Something about a life change that gives a person the open door to be reflective. Uh, I know because I've gone through so many myself. But it's something about whether it's adversity, an unexpected situation, maybe it's a rock bottom. But many of the guests that have come on, they've reached a situation in life that it just opened up an opportunity for them to reflect back on, what am I putting out into the world right now? And why am I receiving the things that I'm receiving? And it just opens that door for you to kind of think a little deeper into the things that, whether it's you believe about yourself, or the path that you're on, whatever it is, just to kind of look at it and going, is this leading me to the next phase of my life? Is it leading me to the direction or goal that I have set? And maybe it's a goal that we put on the back burner. I don't know. And it just kind of opens up that reminder of, remember when you were 18 and you wanted to do these things? Now you're 28. What happened? And so,
Oh, man, exactly.
yeah, yeah. And so as you're going through this change in relationship, just kind of stepping out of a marriage and you're looking and you're reflecting, what what was the thing that kind of hit you in that aha moment that said, you know what? There's some purpose behind this situation.
Absolutely. So I think everything sort of builds on each other. So once I stepped bravely into my mediumship professionally, which I'd been doing for a decade, not professionally, but I've been training as for a decade. And I thought, surely an intense training for a decade of anything makes you exceptional. So I need to get rid of imposter syndrome and just step into that. And so each step just made it a little bit easier to do the next step until finally I'd been doing the mediumship for a while and I thought, you know what, there's more. This is not it. There's more. There's more of that calling. And so I wanted to take that next step to speaking, which had also been something that had been calling me for some time. And so the turning point really is sort of putting it all together step by step, just taking those brave steps. And then coming together, I was like, you know what, this almost feels like an Eight of Cups. I don't know if you know the tarot. It almost feels like an Eight of Cups moment for me. And the Eight of Cups is all, the Eight of Pentacles is all about all the pieces of your life and all of your work that you've done coming together and culminating in this job, this role that you can give to the world that really is your life purpose and serves the world. And so that's what it felt like for me. It felt like I'm using, my acting, and I'm using my spiritual mediumship, and I'm using all of my skills. I was already speaking to children. I've worked within the community for over a decade as well. I have a real passion for working with children.
Mhm.
And putting all of these pieces together and going, wow, this really serves being a speaker. And then my life experience through the divorce, through some other hardships, give me the wisdom to gift that to others and help them rise as well.
Wow. And so, was there any moment where there was doubt that, or maybe uncertainty that you had to overcome?
Just one, Angelina, just one. Isn't there always? And
Yeah.
that's the beauty of pushing ourselves through, don't they always say bravery is not taking this step and feeling brave, it's being courageous in the moment of fear.
Mhm.
So many steps of this imposter syndrome, many steps of am I ready, many moments of am I good enough. In fact, I just did earlier in the year a brand new speaking tournament called Next Top Speaker. And over 1,000 applications, I made it through to the top 50 speakers. I wasn't even, like 2 weeks before, I wasn't even going to enter the tournament because it's always, I'm not ready yet. Every next step just feels bigger. It was a worldwide stage. It was online, but people from all over the world. And I'm so glad I did because, gosh, I was like, if I can make it to top 100, that'll be amazing. But top 50 was like, wow. So I think each little step gives you more courage and more faith that you are on track and that you sometimes will feel nervous or uncertain, but it's so worth it on the other side of pushing ourselves to have some courage. It's so worth it because just going back to that feeling of regret, none of us want to feel that regret at the end of our lives. And Angelina, there's a statistic that is 50% of people feel significant regret at the end of their life. And I just knew I don't want to be part of that group. I want to be part of the ones that live without regret. So I feel quite passionate about feeling the fear and doing it anyway.
Yeah, and I like that you are highlighting, the fear barrier because it does. I mean, instinctively we want to pull back when something scares us because just genetically we're created to be aware of the big bad bear that's going to get us. That's the fear, that's the survival. But when we allow it to dictate our limitations, then we fail to succeed in the things that we set for ourselves. And so when we look at fear of the unknown, stepping into a situation that isn't familiar, that's all it is. It's just no one in your family has stepped before you to even lead by example, and you're the first. And so you're stepping into something that just is uncharted territory. And so to create a path, it's okay to have fear, but use it as a compass to tell you this is just something that's new. So let's learn through it. Let's grow through it. I think you said in the beginning, you know, uh, it's better to have tried and failed to not try at all. So failure is also just a learning guide to tell you, okay, something needs to be revised in the plan, in the path, in the goal for you to get it. And so let's learn from the situation that didn't work out, and let's put some things in practice so that it can work out. So I love that you're saying that. And you
Yeah.
mentioned taking steps towards your goals. So what were some of the tools or maybe some of the things that you utilized in that step-by-step process to get to where you are today?
Such an important thing for people to learn. This is the juicy stuff. So for me, it was really, we were talking about wellness before, the sunrise and how that sets the day. So, when we're disconnected from ourselves and when our spark is gone, we can't make big steps straight away. It all starts very small. So for me, like literally the very first thing I did, I saw a sticker that said, never let anyone dull your sparkle. And I was like, oh, that's the message I need. And I put it on my bathroom above the light switch. So every time I turn the light switch on, there it was. It was honestly that small at the beginning. So I think take little things like that start to remind you, hang on, who was the person I was? And how can I get in touch with that person inside, with that flame, with that spark? So the other nourishing practices we can do, just simply grabbing a cup of tea, taking 5 minutes outside, we're getting the sunlight, we're getting that vitamin D, those lights, put our bare feet on the ground so we're grounding, all of those nourishing practices. I could go on about the wellness side for a decade. And once you start to sort of rebuild a bit of confidence and a bit of connection, no matter how small, my biggest tip and life hack I like to share is returning to a past passion. So for me, that was Latin dancing. I'd been a dancer my whole life, and it had come in and out of my life, and there'd been a big gap. And I decided to reconnect with that. And that became my healing on so many levels. It was my moving meditation, it was my physical health, it was I'm an affectionate person. So I was having connection. It was making new friends and community. There was so many benefits. And so whether it's, art or sport or whatever it is that makes you feel good, I always think joining a class gives you that community base as well, because there's another horrible statistic. Not that I'm all about sharing horrible statistics, but they sort of make you feel, wow. So Julianne Holt-Lunstead reported that loneliness is as bad as smoking 15 cigarettes a day. And we know how bad that is. So I think if we join our passion through a group or an online community, maybe if you're a single mom, it's hard to get time off. It was for me. And so, maybe it's an online thing, or like, where is the starting point? So you can start to reconnect to that spark of that who you were when, as you were saying earlier, Angelina, who was that 18-year-old that sung with abandonment in the lounge room because she wanted to be a pop star, or 12-year-old, and what would they say about your life now? So I think reconnecting to a past passion is a huge part of what I like to talk about. It was instrumental for me. I remember my first private lesson. and this dance studio full of mirrors everywhere. There's no escaping from looking at yourself. And I was carrying 14 kilos of what I like to call sadness. And I could barely look at myself. And the teacher was like, let's flow, and I was like, where is this feminine flow? It's gone. I was so stiff and disconnected from myself. And I could barely recognize who I'd become and the body I was living in. And I actually started to cry. It was very moving and confronting. And a year later, that same teacher, I danced with him in a social setting, and he said to me, you've come alive again. And it's from this place that our energy is vibrating high, and I believe we can manifest and call in that joyful life that we've always wanted. So past passions for me, that's what I love to share. And that's
Yeah. I like that. No, and community is important too. I mean, you're not the first person to come on here and go, you need to
mm,
connect to those people that are headed in your direction. You need to find those that are going to uplift you and support you. Uh, like-mindedness, you're not the first. And it's a huge thing because we are creatures built for connection. We are meant to relationship, and so many things, so many positive things come when we're able to understand who we are. So reconnecting with those past passions and things that just brought us that rejuvenated spirit and energy. It is important because it reminds us of who we are in essence, in body and mind and spirit. And I mean, I get it. You talk about dancing. I'm like, yes, I love to dance too. Um, so it's fun. It is, and it just that's what keeps you youthful. That's what keeps you filled. And then you also mentioned how it met a lot of your own love languages with like the touch and things. And it wasn't even in a romantic relationship. You're getting this from your community and the simple things that you're doing for yourself. So I love that. So Leanne, how has your story shaped who you are today?
it's really given me the gift of being, so a big part of me, as I said before, is community. I've worked with children for a decade. I was a primary school ethics teacher, wanting to, change the world from the grassroots up to be more kind to each other and lay those foundations. I went on and worked for Raise Foundation for a number of years, mentoring high school kids who are having a difficult time. I now work with Love Bites in the community here in Sydney's Northern Beaches, talking about healthy relationships and going into schools and sharing that program. So I'm sorry, where was I going?
We were talking about how your story has shaped who you are today. So you were highlighting a lot of the things that you were doing.
Morning time, yeah.
Yeah.
So it's given me as I was saying, community is very important to me. So stepping into the spiritual mediumship again is this giving role where I'm healing the people, I'm giving them either comfort or direction in life if it's through tarot. It's comfort of connecting with a loved one on the other side if it's mediumship. And now speaking really gives me being able to help people transform their lives. So it's all connected. So that's what it's gifted me. It's gifted me, which is my gift while I'm giving. The gift is in the giving,
Yes.
right? So it's
Yes.
giving me this ability to not leave any stone unturned, to try all of the things I wanted to try. So I know I'll get to the end of my life and look back with pure contentment and joy. So the gift for me is in the giving. I'm a Cancer. All of my star signs and human design and everything is all about giving and nourishing. And so that's what it's gifted me.
As I listen to your story, it hits me how one relationship fell apart, but in that you have gained so many more relationships with community, with yourself, with, connecting with others, through the many platforms that you have. And so the gift of relationship is the thing that you gift back, even though it was something that broke. in the beginning. And so I think that's important to highlight for many people because some people are like, "Oh my gosh, this happened." And so I'm never going to be able to do that again, but it really isn't true. That's what the negative thinking would want you to believe is, yeah, you're right. You're not good at relationships, but look how you're flourishing in relationships. And so just because one situation didn't work out doesn't mean that it's the end all for anything like that. So I that's what's hitting me right now.
And if you do take that positive mindset, Angelina, and look at everything through that lens, like
Mhm.
it's absolutely heartbreaking the things that we go through, but what is the lesson and where is the growth and what can we take out of it that's positive and use? So absolutely, like nobody goes into marriage wanting to separate or break up, and you certainly don't want that for your children. So
Mhm.
it's a big deal. But why did that come into your life and what can you learn from it? Whether it's a relationship or a friendship, there's that old saying, a reason, a season, or a lifetime people come in for. And it hurts. And it's not easy to pick yourself and dust yourself off and keep going. But there's so much you can get out of it if you can do that.
Absolutely. And so, my next question, Leanne, to you is what kind of advice do you give someone who currently is in the in between of their life?
Yeah, it's such a hard place. It really is. And I think the important thing is to have compassion for yourself,
Mhm.
and be gentle with yourself because it doesn't happen overnight and it is a process. But it's important to remember that no matter how small that spark is still inside you, it's waiting to come out, it's waiting to reconnect. And I think when you reconnect to yourself and reignite that spark, everything else in life flows. So little baby steps, but it's there and it will come, and a bit of healing time is okay. But reconnecting is the first step to the rest of the magic happening.
I love that. Um, and it's so important. I mean, and again, I work in child welfare and I work with kids that have come from hard places. And I often tell the adults that work with the children that, you know, trust and connection was broken at a relationship level. It has to be repaired at a relationship level. So it's so important to understand the connection, how vital it is to our lives, how vital it is to our own growth and development. And sometimes taking a step back to really reflect inward on what is it that maybe I believe about myself? What is it about, the things that maybe habits, words, whatever it is that is bringing those things that I don't like into my life because you can change it from the inside out if you put in the work and I guess that's where the fear is because then you really have to face yourself, right? The ugly truth. But the truth does set you free. I'm very much a believer of that. And so I guess that would be conquering the fear of, you know what, just because these things have happened to me in my life, it doesn't mean that I can't change them. It doesn't define who I am. You are the author of your life, the director of your movie. So, make it happen for yourself. I love that. Um, so Leanne,
Mm.
what does living with purpose look like for you now?
Living with purpose for me, okay. I feel like for the individual, for me, again, it's coming back to that community. It's coming back to that. What nourishes me is that giving. So I feel purposeful when I'm doing that. But, for somebody else, for maybe a student in school, maybe purpose looks a little bit different. Maybe it's just having the intention to doing your best and putting your heart and soul into your work. So, down the track, you're making the best for your life. So I think for everybody it's a little bit different, but for me, purpose really is feeling good about my giving. I have to remember to give to myself and nourish myself as well along that track. But that's definitely what makes me feel good is feeling like I'm leaving a legacy, even if it's just my little patch. I'm improving just my little patch, you know. I mean, it'd be great to conquer the world and, you know, make the world a better place. And, you know, but if we do that with our own patch, it gives you so much. And at the end of the day, you can say, wow, look what I've done. And it might just be one conversation you've had somebody with somebody. As a medium, I've found, you know, even as I was moving through the years, I would have people in shopping centers, like we're in the queue waiting to pay, and people would just like, blah, like, oh, like all of their woes. And I'd be like, you know, I just clearly you're holding space and people are feeling comfortable around you is a gift. It's like, wow, you know, and I'd always be like, I can't, you know, this person that's really quiet just not dumped on me, but opened up to me. And these strangers open up to me and then kind of feel good at the end of the day. So, you know, I always think, what good deed have I done today? What's my one thing that I can tick off today, whether it's, you know, helping somebody who fell over at the shops or, you know, so it's the intention that you use going through the day that I think is so important to each individual.
Yeah, absolutely. And I love that you say, you know, I can be at the grocery store and, you know, the opportunity presents itself. That's what being self-aware helps open the doors for those opportunities to happen so that we can be there for another person who may be reaching out. Because I too, you know, I'll be at a restaurant or something, and then all of a sudden somebody's talking to me and they're like, you know what? I don't even know why I'm sharing this with you, but I say, it's a gift. Go ahead. Just, you know,
I know,
let's
don't
talk about it.
worry.
Yeah, let's talk about it. It's okay. You're not, you know, this happens all the time. It's not a big deal. Um, but for you to be that tuned into yourself, you open those opportunities so that you can invite someone else to, and you might be the first healing step for that person as well.
Exactly. And that's the beauty, you know, that's the
Mhm.
absolute beauty. It's the
Absolutely.
micro moments, you know, that have such an impact on somebody.
Yeah.
There was this little girl in a lift, and I know it's terrible, but I'm old school, and I think that certainly after COVID, the world lost the ability to say hello walking past, you know, and just again that connection. So I'm always trying to model that to my children. So we get in a lift, and there's a little girl, and she's got, I think it was a dinosaur dress on. And I said to her, wow, your dress is so beautiful. And she sparkled. And the dad said, and I wouldn't have known this, but then the dad said to me, you know what, we had a fight this morning that she thought if I wear this dinosaur dress, everyone's going to think I look stupid. And he said, no, it's not. And so imagine then at the end of the day, something so small, just a stranger pointing like, wow, you look amazing. And then all of her worries about that and self-doubt, you know, and it was just the smallest thing. So I love that stuff. So
No,
yeah.
and it's so true. So I step with intention every day, and when I make connection, I want to make genuine connection. So I look for three people to give three compliments to every day, and it could be from the smallest, I love that lipstick color, to wow, your shoes, you know, just whatever it is, but it like breathes life into someone else, and they're like, "Oh, you know, thank you. Yes, I love it.
We'll start feeling good. Imagine how much nicer we'll treat each other and how much nicer the world could be. Both, you know,
Hmm.
yeah, so much
Yes,
in the small things to make the
yes.
world feel good.
What
Yeah.
was what was the slogan back in the 70s? Make love, not war, something like that. That's so true. Spread love for real. Um, So, Leanne, as we're starting to kind of close out our conversation, I do have a question for you. It's one of legacy and impact, and one that you probably have put some thought in as you opened up. You talked about regrets, but my question is, if today were your last day, what would you want to be remembered for?
Oh, that is a good one. Okay. I would definitely want to be remembered for the amazing mama that I am,
Mhm.
because that's such a big part of me. And I put so much into that, you know, even from when I was pregnant, I knew what week I was growing eyelashes. That's how much I put into it. So I'd want to start there and then build with the kindness that I left behind and the way I made people feel. So we could talk about the bigger things, but I've always wanted to leave people feeling better than when I found them. So that's what I'd love to be known for.
I love that. And I heard somewhere, and I don't even know who said it, but people will forget what you said, what you did, but they never will forget how you made them feel. And I think that is so true.
Yeah, absolutely. And yeah,
Yeah.
absolutely. I was
Yeah.
going to go off into a sad story, but let's not. Let's just, yeah,
Oh,
lovely, lovely.
okay. Um, it is. So my final question to you is if you could leave just one truth or encouragement with someone listening today who's still trying to figure out their purpose, what would it be?
So again, I just feel like you start the rebuilding, because when you start the rebuilding, you hear the calling and you trust. So for example, well, I am quite connected to the spirit and to myself and to intuition. I was sitting down one day and just thinking, I'm going to write a book. And I got out my laptop and went, "Do-do-do-do-do-do." And it's all part of leaving the purpose and the impact. And so my advice would be, if you reconnect to yourself and you reignite that spark within you, everything else flows. And then, you have the opportunity to leave no stone unturned, because the life you're waiting here to live begins the moment you make those choices.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I love that. So true. So much truth, so much wisdom just in your conversation and in your story. Leanne, if someone wanted to reach out to you outside of this podcast, how can they do so?
So they can head to my website, which is www.leannezaccar.com.au. I'm on Instagram, Facebook. It's Zaccar, Zaccar. And reach me that way.
Wonderful. Well, Leanne, I want to say thank you so much for sharing your heart, your story, and your light with us today. Conversations like this remind us that purpose isn't about perfection. It's about showing up, growing through what we go through, and trusting that every step matters. Here at the Good Morning Minute and through the Empower Her Steps movement, we believe every woman has a calling worth discovering and a voice worth using. So friend, wherever you are today, remember your purpose is powerful and you're not walking alone. So until next time, keep rising, keep trusting, keep walking boldly into the life God has designed for you. I am Angelina Mojica, your life coach, sending you much love, much peace, many blessings.